Congrats, you've got the big job. Almost, so it seems. You might be watching this because you've got a negotiation going on right now for salary in this job that you are being offered. First of all, congrats. It's a big deal when you get a job offer. It's a really, really nice feeling. Now, when I train my project management students who get certified and apply for jobs, I give them a number of tips, and I'm going to share with you 10 of those tips that I give them for negotiating salary. The first one is know the marketplace. You got to know what is normal in that market space for the industry and for the job you're applying for. For example, if you're a project manager, you might want to check out the Project Management Institute because they've got a report that shows you what is normal, what is typical in countries across the world. Switzerland came out as being the highest for project management salaries. So you might want to check that out and get an idea of where the country you're in stands and do some further research. Sites like Glassdoor, Monster, Dice, Career Builder, search all of those job boards and look for inferences of salary. You want to get an idea of your job that you're applying for and the marketplace based on location. It could also be based on the economy. Just keep that in mind. So when the economy tanks, we can't choose that much. We find out that the job offers, they plummet in terms of salary offers. So keep that in mind. The second point is know your worth. What are you really worth? What will they be willing to part with for you? What do you bring to the table? What kind of value do you bring to convince them to pay that much? So you need to be thinking about that. For example, I was trying to make the jump from one industry to another, still in the area of project management. Now, before I made the jump, I was somewhere around 49K. Where I wanted to go was in the 80s. That's what I had my eye on. Now, they had already made it public that, hey, the job is in this range. So when negotiating came, I knew how to position myself. Not only did I get the job, I got a lot more than what I was initially making. But I knew my worth, and that's why I demanded what I asked for. So you got to know your worth. 3, know what is customary in the firm. So you need to do some research about this. You need to ask around. You need to look at LinkedIn. Glassdoor is a good one for you to get an idea based on people that might have been there before and left. Get an idea of what the salaries are, what the range of salaries are. And in that way, you're able to position whatever you're counter offering a lot better. Now, it would be great to have been able to discuss salary face to face, but that doesn't happen. And it could be awkward doing it via email. So my advice, as you do your research and stuff, do your research right there in the interview if it becomes apparent that they're going to be making you an offer. Sometimes they signal to you what that could look like. You just want to play it very stealthily, go into stealth mode. If you find out that they're willing to talk about money right up front because they really want you quick, then go along with it, but be prepared. Sometimes right there on the spot, salary is discussed. There's a manager who went for a job somewhere and he was being asked, what salary are you looking for? And he was so dumbfounded. He was trying to recollect his thoughts, so he didn't say anything, and he was thinking. And the hiring manager said, oh, maybe that's too small. How about 150? He almost fell off his seat because he wasn't even thinking in hundreds. So sometimes silence could also be a great bargaining chip. But the bottom line is you need to know what's customary in that firm. 4, be fair. You want to be fair. When I negotiate, I make sure that my offer is customary and fair. I'm not trying to be bigger than what I am. I'm coming in at the level that I know is customary and that the company can afford, the company can pay for, or I probably wouldn't be there in the first place, but I come in at a level that's fair. And there are many things you can negotiate to be fair. You can negotiate all sorts of things into an agreement. It doesn't have to be exactly what they're asking. So you might need to be a little bit creative, but whatever you do, just make sure you're being fair with whoever you're negotiating with. 5, be patient. Rome wasn't built in a day. Sometimes we are looking to go up the ladder so quick, without bringing the value that is on par with what we're asking for. So we need to grow into the company. We need to grow into the firm. And you might be amazed. Promotions could come. What I normally tell people is hope for the best, prepare for the worst. So going into a company, you're going to hope that you climb up the ladder as you bring value, as they see what you can do. But you also need to prepare for the worst. What happens if the economy tanks? What happens if the needle on your salary doesn't move? And that's why going into a new job, you need to be ready to live with what you negotiated. But at the same time, you need to be patient. So there are many variables. So far, we've talked about know the market, know the economy. Just be aware of that. Know your worth. Know what's customary in the firm. Be fair. Be patient. And going over to number 6 here, be hopeful for growth. So like I said, hope for the best. Prepare for the worst. You got to be hopeful that something will move in the future. You got to be hopeful that you will grow. And you can tell a lot of organizations that are growth inclined, they've got programs, career path programs. Those are all good signs. Number 7, look at the perks. So a student of mine came to me and said, Phil, I've been offered this job by this big bioproduction company. What do you think about this? This is what I'm being offered. And I asked the question, knowing that this student was a family-oriented person, I asked the question, what's the medical like? Medical is awesome, is great, was the reply. I said, you need to consider those things. And then this individual went further to say, yeah, and I'm being given this amount of time to work remote. In fact, most of the time I'll be working remote. So with that thrown in, my opinion was, wow, what a nice perk. You need to make the decision, the judgment call as to whether to accept what is being offered without counter offering based on the perks. Because at the same time, you don't want that offer to walk away. If you counter offer and it's a counter offer gone bad, that could very quickly disappear. The other thing that interviewers don't tell you is who else is in the pipeline. You'd be amazed at who else is in the pipeline. I remember going for a job interview once, and little did I know, as I was leaving the job interview, I looked through the glass door and I'm like, what? He's going for the interview? Yeah, it's probably curtains. Because this individual was better positioned in the firm, and it seemed more like a career progression thing. For him, I was like the new kid on the block, so I didn't get that job. We got to be observant. We got to look for the perks. We got to be aware of various things. Number 8, look at the big picture. So look at the big picture of the entire scenario. You never know. You never know what that job will lead to. So don't just think about money. Think about what you can learn from that firm. Would you trade $10,000 for having that name on your resume? If the answer is yes, you need to honestly factor these things in. Because remember, it's a career path. It's a growth path. And that might be part of your strategy. Come in low, learn what you need, and at the end of the day, you might find yourself somewhere else. Or you might intentionally go in there to learn, to give, to get something in return, and that might be part of your strategy. So sometimes the money may not be good. Sometimes the perks may not be all that. However, when you think about the big picture of why you're doing what you're doing, that could also tip the scale in favor of taking that job. All right, number 9, negotiate smart and negotiate ASAP. You got to negotiate knowing that there's more to the job than just the money, but you also need to negotiate quick. You need to negotiate while everything is still fresh. You got to strike while the iron's hot, while they still got that vision, vivid vision of you and what you can bring to the table. When you've made a big impression, that is the best time to go into negotiation. So if you're given an offer, don't let it go 1 day, 2 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Don't let it drag on and on. Do it quick because you don't know what they've got in the pipeline. Okay? When you negotiate, avoid going first. So if the scenario is such that someone has to go first, try to avoid it being you because you never know how high. Remember my example, the story of the manager that went for a position and just kept quiet in shock, not even knowing the job was priced that high. At the end of the day, he walked away with a boatload. So keep that in mind. When you negotiate, try to avoid going first. Last but not least, be flexible. When you're thinking about salary, go with a range. In my mind, I go with 5 and 10s. Go in with a number like 2, 3, 15. 15 is too wide for me. Less than 5 is too low. So 5, 10s, that range, anything between a difference of 5 and a difference of 10. So you could say, 175 to 185, but, try to keep it as tight as you can. It also helps with the decision. But beyond that, that's my opinion. There are lots of schools of thought about this. I typically go with my gut. So in the example I gave you, when I negotiated salary, I just went with a number, threw out the number, and boom, it was taken. So let me go over the points one more time. Know the market, know the economy. That's 1. 2, know your worth. 3, know what is customary in the firm. 4, be fair. 5, be patient. Rome wasn't built in a day. 6, you got to be hopeful for growth as you decide about that salary, 7, look at the perks. 8, look at the big picture, what you can gain that's beyond money and the time factor of the whole thing. 9, negotiate ASAP, negotiate with a range. Don't go first. And 10, be flexible. I hope this helps you in making up your decision, and I'm really looking forward to hearing of the great news and how you're adding value to your new firm. Take care. Bye for now.